and welcome to the latest edition of the Gutsy podcast. Brilliant to be back. Absolutely fantastic. Thanks for all your comments and the support. Please subscribe. Mac the Bear would like you to do that. He's got his sunglasses on because it's a nice day outside. And as always, our positive poo. I may be a tiny poo, but I believe in you doing good shit. Anyway, seriously, it's been brilliant as always. Entered season 2. Who would have thought we would go this far? Today, we've been trying to get this guy on Gutsy since the first season. He's a difficult guy to track down. He's a very much man in demand within the IBD community. IBD advocate, published author. I think it's about 8 books now, if my memory serves me right. He'll keep me right, I'm sure. Founder of Better Life Health, a martial artist, which is a first for Gutsy. We've had a few piss artists on, but never a martial artist. Ladies and gentlemen, the powerhouse, the king of living with ulcerative colitis on Instagram, Liam Robertson. How are you, mate?
Thank you so much. That was the best intro I've ever heard from myself.
I've been practicing. I stayed up all night practicing.
It was really good. I enjoyed that. Thanks for having me. You're right. It's hard always make yourself available for everything. I'm really glad I'm here. It's an amazing studio. Looks really cool.
Well, thanks to Greg and the team at G4 Podcasts. They do a great job. I
can see that.
I'll let you into a wee secret. Today never nearly happened.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Not my fault.
But no. Yeah. It was my fault.
I see. Okay.
There was a wee booking challenge, as in I thought I'd done it and I never. but Greg came to the rescue.
I see.
Very much so. In fact, he doesn't know this, but that wee box of Heroes chocolates that are over there are actually for him.
Oh, nice.
So, as a way of thank you for absolutely rescuing me,
Saving the day.
he has
a hero.
Not all heroes wear capes, let me tell you. Not all heroes wear capes. But seriously, it's great to have you here. Big fan of the page, big fan of the work that you do, Liam. What have you been up to? What's been happening?
Oh, but quite a mad couple of months, to be honest. I was so I do Muay Thai. I think I've told you before. I was in Thailand I was meant to be doing a Muay Thai training camp. And I got onto it was the first day of training. I cut my foot and got a little infection, which is kind of normal on new mats. You know, you're pivoting and stuff and you're getting blisters. That was fine. So I banged a bit of antibiotic cream from the pharmacy on it, taped it up, carried on training. And then I got, as the days were going on, the cut was looking better, but my foot was getting sore. And I was like, this isn't right. So I think I got to day 4 or 5, something like that, and there was a dot on the top of my foot that had been getting bigger and bigger, and I just thought it was where my sliders were kind of like friction, where they're rubbing. And I woke up on day 4 or day 5, whichever it was, and there was little white dots, and I was like, oh, that's infected in the top of my foot. So I went back to the pharmacy, and she was like, oh, is your foot healed? And I'm like, well, look at this, I think I've got an infection, because a few of the guys in the gym had staph infection. I don't know if you know what it is. It's quite popular, I wouldn't say popular, common in combat sports.
So popular, everybody's dying.
Everybody wants it. It's quite popular, common in combat sports. And
so what is it?
It's called Staphylococcus. I think it's Staphylococcus. I can't remember the full name, but staph infection. The type of infection you get, it tends to sit in gym mats and through sweat and stuff. It's passed on. Right. So if you get a cut and it goes in, it's super serious. I think you can die from it. People have had limbs, serious surgery from it.
So this is not a good advert for martial arts.
No, it's honestly, it's probably one of the worst things that happens to fighters in terms of training camps and that, this staph infection. Before I got to Thailand, the first day I got there, my mate has been there, living there for 6 months, and he was like, oh, I hate the boys in gym have got staph. And I was like, oh no, because obviously I'm biologic immunosuppression, ulcerative colitis, immune system, they're great. I'm like, it's the worst thing I wanted to hear. There's a bit of it going on.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll be all right. One of the boys had hit in his eye.
Right. So you're the guy in the training camp how many people are in the training camp?
Oh, there was maybe 20 of us.
Right, so there's 20 on the training camp, and you're immunosuppressant, you're the worst guy to get something, and you're the guy who goes, I'll be all right.
I came too far. The 12 of our flight, I wasn't going to change my mind. So basically, one of the guys that got in his eye, he was in hospital for weeks, and this was all around the time of the earthquake. I arrived the day after the earthquake in Myanmar.
You're not really a good luck charm, are you?
No, it's like I feel like everybody's got infections, an earthquake. I'm like, geez. But yeah, as soon as when I got in the pharmacy, I said, "Oh, like I'm think it's a staph infection." She just looked at me and went, "No," and she was like, doesn't speak English, on her phone, and then showed me a picture of this beetle, and she was like, "You've been bitten from this beetle," and I was like, "Oh, come on! What are the chances of this?" You know what I mean? Like. So she'd showed me photos of it and told me it gives you a thing called, it's a Paredes beetle, gives you something called Paredes dermatitis when it bites you or stings you, and it must have happened in my sleep because I didn't feel it. So she was like, "I'll give you antibiotics." I'm like, "I can't take them because of my colitis, you know, it really messes me up, puts me into a flare." So I was like, "No, I'm not one, I'm going to just put cream on it, antibiotic cream, and just crack on." Well, I only got like, I don't know, 2 hours away from the pharmacy. I was sitting in a restaurant and I looked at my foot and it was like a balloon. Really? Like swelled up, couldn't wiggle my toes and nothing. And I just started thinking, do I really want to be stuck in a hospital with potential bad infection and sepsis and all this stuff, you know, in Thailand? So I went back and just took the antibiotics and got steroids and that as well, and just did the full whack. And
wow.
I was not well for a couple of days, to be honest, with the infection, and then I spent, it must have been 24 hours roughly in my hotel room, just feeling sorry for myself, looking to try and get flights to come home, because when you're not well, you want to just be home, you know. And then I don't know what came over me. The next morning I thought, I had a little moped, so I was thinking, I'm going to hobble down to my moped, I'm going to go drive somewhere and get some food.
No. Fucking hell. I don't know with the level of like just you're trying to kill yourself.
I know, but
I mean, let's go back to the series of events here. You've got earthquake. You've been
staph infection.
You've got staph infection. You've been your foot's like a balloon. You've got this horrible infection. You want to go on a moped in Thailand.
I'm just adding to it. Well, thankfully it didn't end in a disaster. There was no crashes.
Oh, you're here.
I'm here.
You're here. Do you know something? I had a terrible experience being ill in Thailand.
Oh, really?
Oh, it was
with like food poisoning kind of thing, or
I was fucking self-inflicted. But it was my own stupidity. Funnily enough, you're obviously not meant to drink the water.
Oh, of course not.
And I was going from Bangkok to the islands. I think it was going to Samui or Koh Phangan or something like that. So it was any time that I've been lucky enough to go there, it's a beautiful place. It's a wonderful country, wonderful people. And I've been a couple of times, and you go and a couple of days in Bangkok, a nice hotel, and then go to the islands and maybe go in the wee beach huts and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So have a wee bit of luxury then.
Yeah,
a wee bit of paradise.
Bit of travelling. Yeah.
So I didn't know this at the time, but I brushed my teeth and I've taken a drink of the water at the cup. And because you're in a nice surrounding, that's what I'm putting my stupidity down to. Yeah. I didn't really think about it.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was fine. Got to the airport. I feel terrible, man. Absolutely honking. Got to be sick. So I went, goes to the toilet. I mean, violently sick. Violent. I'm like, I need to get in this plane. And the wee plane down to the islands isn't it great?
Yeah.
Sitting at the front of the plane, and they bring out the food. Now I'm struggling at this point, and they bring out the food, and it's a tuna sandwich or something, and I'm like, right up the back, right up the back of the plane, and I was violently ill.
Did you make it to the toilet, or was it
just
I thought you were in the aisle?
No. Oh my God, imagine. And the thing was, I threw my mind, and I don't know, I must have been reading some crime thing for Thailand or something like that. I'm going, they're going to think I'm a drug smuggler. They're going to think I'm a drug smuggler.
Oh,
The drugs are busting. I don't know. I invented this full story in my head, and eventually got off the plane. Rattling. And as they eventually get checked into the hotel, and every part of my body ached. The bones, I could feel as if they feel the inside of my bones. And I honestly thought I was going to die.
Aye, well you would, aye.
Honestly
totally.
thought. And I went to the reception, help, and the lassie just laughed at me. You've drunk the water.
And she just knew?
You've drunk the water. And I was like, really? And got salts and stuff like that. And I struggled to sleep, but the next day I was,
you were all right.
I was bang on, but it was an absolutely horrendous experience.
Oh, I can imagine.
So being ill in a foreign country, I know what it feels like, and it does not feel good.
No, you're right. It doesn't feel good. That's why I was trying to get flights home, but the one-way flight had like doubled, you know, and I was like, to get a last minute to go home, I thought, it's not worth it. So when I jumped on the moped, I went around to this restaurant, had some sushi or something, and I was like, you know what? I'd rather be ill with a sore foot in Thailand than ill with a sore foot in my living room. You know what I mean? So it made more sense to me. So I just hung about. But thankfully, the best point.
Whereabouts in Thailand?
Chiang Mai.
Chiang Mai.
No,
so up north.
Yeah, that's where I've been, because the first time I went up here, I met these guys at a gym, and the coaches were so welcoming, nice, and it made you feel like family. Yeah. You know, sit and eat with them at night, and I thought, I'm going to go back there. They were like friends to me now, and I've got a good bond with a few of the guys I met who are still there now. So it made sense. So I just hung about, and antibiotics worked and kicked in, and I wasn't able to train, but I was able to walk, which was like a big starter. And
definitely.
I ended up, not that I drink often, but I ended up just getting on the beers and having some nice food, and doing. So it became a holiday. It became a holiday instead of a training camp. Is exactly it. So
and how did it affect your UC? How did it affect IBD?
So initially there was nothing. I get like mini flare ups when I drink. Like if I drink alcohol, I don't feel good the next day. And if I did it a lot, I would definitely go into a big flare-up. So I generally just don't drink, only in special occasions, like if I'm on holiday somewhere or whatever, or a wedding, or
a beetle bites you.
Or a beetle bites you or something. That was drowning away my sorrows. I actually, like one of the nights, I wasn't going to drink, and everybody was drinking, but at a barbecue, and I thought, I'll just take a couple of beers. You know what I mean? It's nice, you're on holiday, treat yourself kind of thing. But then when I got home and I was like, my food's still not right. I'd finished antibiotics. I was meant to go offshore on Wednesday or something. This is the Monday, and I'm like, I'm not sure. So I went to my GP. Not that the Thailand doctor wouldn't have known what they were doing, because she seemed pretty confident. But I'll speak to my own GP, and I went in, and she's like, no, it's still infected. Like, you need more antibiotics. I was like, So had to phone offshore. Couldn't go away because of my foot. They didn't want me being there with an infection. And I started another course of antibiotics. I got 2 days into it, and my colitis went into a proper flare-up, really? Genuine flare-up. And I went, oh no. So I just stopped antibiotics, and I thought, now do I deal with the flare or do I deal with the infection? You know what I mean? And that's probably a common scenario people have found themselves in before in the community. And I just chose to stop the antibiotics because it was such a mild bit of the infection left. I waited a couple of days and went back to my GP, and they went, oh no, it looks like it's gone now. And I'm like, I made the right decision, because if I'd finished that course on antibiotics, I would have been in like a severe flare-up, you know. Right.
So that kind of educated gamble, really, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, see, what I do now as well is, I don't know if a lot of people do this, but what I do now is when I get antibiotics, I ask for prednisolone as well. So I supplement the antibiotics with prednisolone, because it reduces your chance of hitting a flare-up from, because it kind of like mellows inflammation out a bit. Now, the last 2 or 3 times I've did that, I've took prednisolone with it as well, the GPs gave me, to kind of counteract the side effect of the antibiotics, and it's worked pretty well. The last few times, apart from that second time there, but the last few times before that, I've been fine taking antibiotics. So I don't know if it's a little cheat code, but it seems to be working well.
Good for you. Yeah. And thankfully you're here to fight another day. And how's the foot?
It's foot's good. I'm probably going to be scarred. I think there's a scar in it. It's like a small patch. It kind of looks like a burn. That's kind of how it looks. It's like the skin's all weird. They've said like keep moisturising it and putting stuff on it, but the chances are it's going to scar. So I was like, fair enough. You know what I mean? It's not a big deal having a scar on my foot. I'm just glad the infection's away, and there was no major problems with it.
Yeah. So I mean, you go up in Chiang Mai, and the beasties are a bit different from everywhere else in Thailand.
Well, see, my gym is like not in the centre of the old city in Chiang Mai. It's like about 16 kilometres east in an area called Ta Sala, and it's a residentially kind of place. It's not like a tourist place, as such. But they've built this, since I was last here in 2019, they built this new hotel beside my gym. Now, it was basically built on a swamp, farmland, big open grass, and you can imagine how many beasties and creatures and that are in there. So I think it was just maybe the location as well that didn't help,
The people didn't like you. God, no, you're lucky. You hear so many horror stories.
Ah, you do, totally.
Yeah, well, that doesn't sound like a good advert for Thailand.
It's a beautiful place, by the way. It's just honestly one of my favourite places in the world. And the people I met there as well, you know, it's people solo travelling. It's just like, I've got friends from America and Israel and France and, you know, Australia. You just meet people from all over, like from different cultures, different backgrounds, and it's nice. I think it's good for your development as a person as well.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I look back on many moons ago when I was travelling in my early 20s, and it's like just phenomenal. You know, you meet people from all over the world. Obviously, very much so before social media and stuff like that. We're lucky to have a Hotmail account then. True story. And
it's when it was real travelling.
Real travelling.
Real travelling.
Aye, hardcore travelling, definitely. But I'm still really good pals with the people. A lot of the people that I'm in.
Yeah.
You get that shared bond kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're going through the same stuff, and you're kind of first time away, and you know, if you go to a country that's totally different cultures and stuff like that as well, so it's fantastic.
I tell people this all the time. See, especially because I went to do Thai boxing there. If you're in a foreign place where you don't know anybody, with someone else who doesn't know anybody, and you're punching each other in the face and eating lunch together, it's a special bond you build over a short period of time.
I was doing all of that apart from punching each other in the face. I'm not really big on that.
I know.
I say, terrible. Somebody touched my nose. No way.
I don't particularly like it either, to be honest, but it's a bit of fun.
So tell me this, Liam, that with your inflammatory bowel disease, do you have to do anything specific when you're going on holiday to support you, to keep you healthy, or do you need to do any specific insurances, especially if you're going to somewhere like Thailand? You know, is there anything that you do specifically that you would advise anybody else? You know,
yeah. To be honest, up until recently, I've never really made a big deal. I had like standard travel insurance, I think, through my employer, and I never declared the chronic illness thing before because I never felt I needed to. But after that huge flare up I just had in 2022, it's like. Also, I've been in and out of hospital, new medication. I thought I better get a proper like travel insurance and
because I would imagine that if you had a problem with your UC and you never declared that, the insurance wouldn't pay for it.
They wouldn't pay for it. A guy I know, he did actually have insurance, but there was loopholes and they wouldn't pay for it, and he had to do a fundraiser he's got Crohn's, he's an American guy, and he ended up doing like a GoFundMe type of thing. When he was in Thailand, he was stuck in hospital waiting for his Crohn's infusion, and I think he tried to skip one because he thought, I'll go travelling, I'll be alright, I've been healthy for ages, I'll skip one infusion, and he got a couple of weeks after his due date and he went into a big flare up and he had to get money raised for his next infusion. He was stuck in hospital at the time, like severely unwell, thinking he was going to end up with, I don't know, surgery or whatever, and then so it's tough.
So there's a big bit of advice here: don't skip your infusion.
Don't skip your infusion. Get the right travel insurance as well. Look at this. Look at the small print.
Well, listen, I'm a big believer that the insurance company's job is to take your money first and foremost, and then their next job is to avoid giving you the money if you need to claim it.
Oh yeah, of course it is.
That's what it is. Don't care what anybody says. That's in the training.
It must be.
It's got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah.
So now you do declare that, and that's very sensible practice.
Yeah, I got like I went through the whole process with one of these money supermarket compare the market type of things for travel insurance, and I think it was like £42 or something for my 2 weeks in Thailand, which I didn't think was terrible. No, to be honest.
No, I think the cost frightens people. The potential cost frightens people. Think they're going to have to pay loads of money. I'm sure there's companies out there that will absolutely fleece people, and because that's what they do. But but I think the narrative here is definitely, if you're going on holiday anywhere, definitely declare it. Get the right insurance, and make sure you go to the right place, because there is places that will
of course,
because it's a safe thing. There's not just inflammatory bowel disease, but anything that happens when you're away, you need to make sure you're covered.
No, I totally agree. I've never had to use it, which is great, but you don't want to be in a position where you're stuck and you don't have it.
No, it's a safety net, isn't it? Safety net.
Yeah.
So let's go back, Liam. Let's go back. You were diagnosed. You've been about for a while in the old IBD stakes. 14 years ago, diagnosed.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. it's been a long journey, to be honest. I think I've mentioned you before, but for me, I just kept a lot of it a secret, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think I was unwell for almost 3 years before my diagnosis as well.
So when you say you're unwell, are you just putting it off?
No, I mean, a lot of it was
going to the doctor.
Yeah, I was, and it just wasn't getting anywhere, which is something that became apparent a lot of people go through now. So I think I was on holiday in Spain, and I got home, and I had my stomach was terrible, and they said I had a stomach bug from holiday. Yeah. And it got worse and worse and worse. You know,
bugs and holidays a theme with you, eh?
All the time. It certainly is.
Right, okay. You're just like living on the edge.
Living on the edge, yeah. Keeping it exciting. So I just knew it just wasn't a normal, like it wasn't some sort of upset tummy, ever something not right, and I ended up bleeding loads, diarrhea, like extreme cramps I'd never experienced before, and I ended up in hospital, and they said I had gastroenteritis. So I was like, all right, fair enough. So I was in hospital for a week, and then when I came out, I was just something. I just was never right again. I was like constantly bleeding still, and they kept saying, "Oh, it's like a after effect of gastroenteritis. It's your gut getting back to normal. It's I don't know, just like your gut's damaged, and it'll take time to repair." And that's what they kept telling me. And this went on for maybe 6 months, and I was like, I kept going back to my GP, going, "When's this going to stop? Like, I'm not well. Like, I'm still cramping." Yeah. And they were doing blood tests and everything, and they'd never suggested, I'd never heard the words Crohn's or colitis before in any of these points of going to the doctor. It was never, and I'd never even heard of the disease either. Yeah. So it wasn't like I could suggest it myself. And then it was, I think I got about 18 months in, and I remember just being in tears, like being at work and being able to like get through my day and able to sleep. Just
for people watching at this point, you currently work offshore on the rigs?
Yeah, I started working offshore when I was 20, so yeah.
So you were on the rigs during this time?
I was on the rigs during this time. Like, it was horrible because I was unwell, but I didn't know I was unwell. If you know, I couldn't put a pinpoint what it was. Yeah. And I remember times having to run back and forth to the toilets, and like whoever my supervisor was at the time be like, "Oh, you're taking a piss, like get to work." And I'm like, "No, I need to go to the toilet." And they were like, "You were there 10 minutes ago, like you're not getting to go." And I'm like, and then I couldn't say I've got an illness because I didn't know I had an illness. I think I've told a few people the story before. I remember one of my supervisors, we were knocking some iron pipework together using a sledgehammer, and I was kind of setting it up and then pulling my hands away, and he was hitting it, and then I was setting the next one up. And I was dying to go to the toilet bad. I'd said to him, "Oh, I need to go to the toilet." And he goes, "You were just there like half an hour ago, you're not going." And I was like, "Oh." So I'm stood there, I'm waiting to shit myself, you know, that feeling of panic, and it was always blood at the time and mucus as well, and I was really unwell, and I was fidgeting so badly, and I just needed a distraction to stop myself, shit myself. When he went to hit the sledgehammer, I just put my hand in front of it so it would hit my hand, and I don't even know why I did it, but it was like this horrible like moment of craziness. And he pulled the sledgehammer at the last second, but it obviously still smashed my thumb and broke it and stuff. I mean, I'd probably lucky I'd still have a thumb if he hadn't pulled it back. And it was just purely through me fidgeting and panicking and being in this horrible mental state where I was just like, I didn't know what to do. And
you never told me this story before, so I'm pretty taken aback by it.
Yeah. You know? And because I was young and stuff as well, like I didn't want to go to the medic and make a big deal. Can there be reports and why do you do this? And I was worried about my job, and I just dealt with this broken thumb for the rest of the trip and my big black nail. And it was terrible, to be honest. And to be honest, that went on for a long time. That kind of like constantly on the rig or being at home, feeling like I'm not going to make it to the toilet, having accidents all the time. I think 18 months in, I got told to go for a colonoscopy. So I was like, oh, maybe this will give me some answers. I got the colonoscopy done, and then they came out and said, oh, like the bowel prep didn't work very well, but the bits of our bowel we could see of your bowel was completely fine. And I'm like, oh, no, this is like not the answer I was wanting.
No, or expected, I would imagine.
No, I mean, I didn't even know what I was expecting, but I was expecting to come back with something to say this is what we found, but they found nothing. They said it was called, they said the result of it was inconclusive. So I was like, right. So then I was back to square one and bleeding the next day, bleeding heavily, in extreme pain. Went back to my GP. There's nothing wrong with you. We've done your blood test, we've done your scope, go away. And it was just like, it's went on for 3 years, pretty much. I actually probably think I've got a bit of PTSD from it, because it's hard to explain how being in pain and suffering every day and just being told that there's nothing wrong with you. Like, I started to question, is it in my head? Am I like having some sort of breakdown here? Like, it's a horrible. And I think we had a small, like every time I went to GP, I got a different GP. And this one time I had the same guy like 4 or 5 times in a row. And I remember he kind of lost his temper with me. And he was like, what do you want me to do? We've done the test, we've done a scope, we've done everything. There's nothing wrong with you. And I'm like, is bleeding out of my arse 50 times a day normal? Like, you tell me it's something that's not wrong with me.
Yeah.
And he just made me feel like it was in my head or I was lying, and basically sent my way. And I just like,
that's horrendous.
It is. And I remember going home, like lying in my bed, and I had to sleep with a towel wrapped around me because I would bleed in the middle of the night, and I didn't want to have to get up every 10 minutes because I went through a period of about 2 years, just basically I hadn't had a full 8 hours sleep. In like 2 years. I think my sleep would last no more than 20 minutes, half an hour. I'd go to the toilet and I'd go back to bed, sleep for 20 minutes, get up again. I would do that every night for years. And I think I eventually went back and I got a different GP, and she was like really helpful and like compassionate and empathetic, and it really stood out for me that it felt like she actually cared.
Yeah.
And she was asking about the colonoscopy and suggested, why don't I go for one privately? I had private like insurance through my employer at this point, so I thought I'd never consider doing it privately because the waiting list was so long. So I thought, I'll just go and do it. And I went, and it was the same GI specialist had done the colonoscopy, but just in the private hospital, and his, like, you know, he does sole trader work or whatever, you know, privately. And
he's getting the big bucks.
Oh yes,
he's getting the big bucks.
Yeah, I think he won like an award once for like most beautiful home in Scotland or something.
Really?
Yeah, I think so. He's definitely in the big bucks. Like, so yeah, basically I got a colonoscopy done in a private hospital, and I'm not saying it's any better than NHS hospital in terms of the technical medical knowledge, but if anybody's been for a colonoscopy at a hospital and compare to a private hospital, it's just near the same. It's just the treatment levels are different, you know what I mean? You get like the nurse was like massaging my shoulders and like going, are you okay, how you feeling, and like totally chatting me through the whole thing. It was like the nicest, like gentle like experience. And
is this a colonoscopy, or should we be back in Thailand? Sure.
It sounds a bit Thailandy.
Sorry, that was a sweeping chain. That's unfair.
No, that's a good one though.
So anyway, but what do you call it? The massage.
Yeah, so of course she was like massaging shoulders, chatting to you, making loads of good like conversation. You're made to feel so nice in the private hospital, and you've got your own room, and it's just really nice. And basically I went and done the colonoscopy, and I was sat in the room afterwards a bit groggy from the sedation kind of stuff, which is, by the way, is a lovely part of the colonoscopy. I think it's called midazolam and fentanyl they give you. It's just like it's the best feeling. It's like happy, drowsy. I can see why fentanyl's a problem in the US.
Oh, this is not an advert for fentanyl.
In controlled manner.
In a controlled manner, get yourself right into that fentanyl.
Yeah, because I've been for a sigmoid before, and they're like, "Oh, we'll just do it without." I was like, "No, give me the stuff," because it just makes look. The camera inside your rectum isn't painful, it's the air. So they inflate your intestine with air, and that's the thing that's horrible. You know, it's just like this crampy kind of bloated feeling, and it's a lot of air they put up as well. Like sometimes, you know, I've heard stories of people saying when the cameras came out before, they've just farted for like a minute solid, you know, of just pure air. And he came in my room afterwards and was like, look, you've got ulcerative colitis, and here's some medication to start on, Pitasa was, and he was like, we'll start getting you treated. And I was like, really? I couldn't even listen to what he said because I wanted him to get out of the room so I could Google it. And in hindsight, you know, Google wasn't going to tell me more than the gastroenterologist specialist that was sat in front of me. But I was just so excited, and really, you shouldn't be excited getting diagnosed with a lifelong chronic illness. But I was over the moon.
No, I get why you're over the moon, because you've just went 3 years where people you've not been heard. You've got blood coming out your arse, as you say, 50 times a day. You're no sleeping. You're driving yourself nuts to the point that you think that a mallet hitting your thumb is a good idea. Another example of kind of life on the edge kind of thing that there's this, that you're
of course,
really you can really find out a lot about people when you sit across them, mate. But when somebody's that actually gives you that diagnosis, it's like that's it, and it's like we've got there.
It was.
Don't get me wrong, there's still a big journey there, but at least when you've got there's a name around what your challenge is, and that there can be actions and hopefully to make life better.
It should have been a dark cloud, but it was more like the clouds had cleared, and it was like,
relief.
Honestly, it was the best thing ever. I was just like, oh, finally I can maybe get my life back. And yeah, the relief that came over me was like indescribable, especially after years of going through shit and being told that it was in my head, or I wasn't ill, or there was no way of kind of getting a normal life back. And so yeah, we started on Pentasa, and then it wasn't the greatest drug, but when I got into azathioprine, I got back in remission. It took a while.
Yeah, I was going to say how long.
Well, he told me it would take a few months, but I think I remember it was about 6 or 7 months in, and I actually didn't believe it. I was on because I'd been unwell for so long, and it was gradually getting better. It wasn't like one day I woke up and I was better. It was just like gradual. And I was on the golf course with my mate, and I usually only manage 9 holes, and I have to go back to the clubhouse for the toilet, at the best of times. And we were on like the 17th or something, and he went, "Oh, I didn't realise that you're like better now." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "Oh, you usually go to the toilet. You've never been to the toilet." And I was like, it was just like this moment of realisation, and I was like, and then I didn't even believe it. Like, I got up the next morning, and I was reading my fitness at the time, and I put a sweatsuit on and went for like hill sprints, because usually when I run, it stimulates the bowel, and I need the toilet, and it's usually a good sign that. And I went and done hill sprints, and I didn't even need to run back to the toilet, and I was like, oh, this is too good to be true. Surely not. I went to the gym, lifted heavy weights, did all the things that I like to do, and I would usually have to plan around toilet visits, and I was getting through everything fine. So after a few days, I genuinely started to believe it. I was like, oh, I've got my life back here. And that was like a massive turning point for me. I was like back in, I don't know, 2000 and... I can't even remember now, 2015 or something. I don't know.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Because it's been gradual, and it's crept up on you.
Yeah.
And then you realise, oh, wow, I'm in a different place.
Oh yeah, it was crazy. I started getting my life back, and it was
did it scare you a wee bit at the same time, but because knowing where you were and where you were at where you were at that moment?
It did a bit. To be honest, it just felt too good to be true. I didn't fully 100% believe it. I was waiting for to pop out and a joke, her where you're still ill kind of thing. But I got quite a few years out of that before. I went to another mild flare up, and we upped the dose, and I fixed it again. It was just like, it was a bit of a wonder drug for me, to be honest. Azathioprine, it really changed my life.
Well, given those 3 years of what can only be described as hell, you deserved a bit of joy.
Yeah.
And it changed again.
Yeah, I mean, this particular topic's one that I've been a little bit uncomfortable speaking about at times with people, because there's so many different opinions. But this last flare up was by far the worst flare I've ever had, and it was all from the COVID vaccine around that time. I got the COVID jab, and my symptoms came back after 6 years in remission. And I was like, oh, this is not good. And at the time, I don't know if you remember, but doctors and everybody was so pro-vaccine. And if you were anti-vaccine, you were a conspiracy theorist, or you were crazy, or...
do you know, we were talking about this recently, because a good friend of mine, Joe, hello, I don't know why I'm saying hello, he'll not be watching. He was very anti the vaccine. And I was always, it's your choice. Pro choice. Do what you want. If that's the way you want to do it, that's great. If you don't, it's also great. It's your choice. But we were talking about it because he was like, his pals were like, he almost became like, excluded for the group, and he was like people got up against him. I think one of the things that was really quite alarming for me was that I think they said to him something along the lines of, well, if you become ill, you shouldn't be seen at the hospital and stuff like that. And it's like, whoa,
yeah,
come back, think of it.
It became very militant, did it?
Yeah, it absolutely became militant. But I think loads of people were like that. I mean, I don't remember my sister-in-law, she went from one end of the spectrum to the other. Like, she was like, you know, she worked in the supermarket. I'm frontline services. You need to do this. You need to do that, and really militant that way. And see, like a year later, she was the other way. Shouldn't be taking the vaccine. Shouldn't be doing this. Like, also in a militant fashion. But it really changed. Obviously, changed society, but changed people's dynamic as well.
It did.
You know, if you're seeing your friends out and there's more than two of them, grass them in.
Aye, that was happening. The neighbours grassing each other, and aye, totally.
Horrendous. So do you think that taking the vaccine triggered your symptoms?
Yeah, I mean, I got the normal cold flu-y type feeling people get, but then I started getting colitis type symptoms, and then they just got worse and worse, and I had to take a course of steroids to kind of calm it down. I'm like, why am I back on prednisolone after 5-6 years? Like, why am I having to deal with this? And then I just wasn't right. I was struggling with fatigue. Like, my gut just wasn't, it's hard to explain because it wasn't a full-on colitis flare, but it was like almost more like IBS type of symptoms. I just wasn't well all the time. The fatigue was the main one. And after about, I don't know, I got in touch with my consultant. I was like, I'm not particularly well, and I can't explain. Like, my colitis is just not 100%. And he just basically said, well, it won't be the COVID vaccine. It'll be, azathioprine that's starting to not work or make you unwell. Maybe we should taper off it. So obviously I've thought, well, you know what? I've been well for 5 or 6 years. He's the expert. I might as well try and taper off. Why not? And every time I spoke to a GP or I spoke to people in my work as well, they were like, no, like anybody who was militant pro-vaccine thought I was crazy for thinking the vaccine made them unwell. And now it's came out that a lot of people with IBD did go into flare-ups from the vaccine. Like, this is not like a secret anymore. It's like,
I think there's probably more things to come out of that full thing.
I definitely think so as well. So yeah, I came off my meds, and I tapered off slowly over the period of almost a year, because I really didn't want to like mess things up after so long being well. And I literally took my last tablet like about, I don't know, a week before I went offshore. And I got offshore, and within a few days I started bleeding for the first time properly, like proper bleeding in 6 years. And then I went into a massive flare up, and I've only just recovered from that just recently, and that was the end of 2022. So it's just like,
wow. Tell me this, if you don't mind me asking. So you've been through a strong 6 years. You're feeling good. You go offshore. Start your two weeks on, and then the bleeding again. How do you feel?
I've spoken about this with people before. I honestly think the worst feelings in life are not at rock bottom. It's when you're at rock bottom and you recover from it and then go back to rock bottom. That's the most like soul destroying kind of thing. I spoke about this in my book actually. My friend used to be a guy I used to work with, used to be in the military, and he told me this story about how when they used to interrogate people, one of the techniques that used to work with the best would be to let them go. So they would interrogate them, kind of get the information they need. They would let them go, and they'd wait down the road, 4 or 5 miles down the road. So these people are away free, and they think they're off with it, and they wait an hour down the road, and they're an hour down the road, and they've forgotten about it because they think, oh, I'm free, but they're actually waiting for them, and they catch them again and take them back, and that's when they give up everything, because they've had a sense of freedom and it's been taken away from them. And that's exactly what happened with my colitis. I had 6 years of freedom, and then it was taken away, and that was really, really tough to take, like really soul destroying, like harder than any of the 3 years before when I was ill and I wasn't diagnosed, harder than any of the flare-ups. It was that feeling of thinking my life was back to normal and then sudden crash back to reality. It isn't, It was a really tough one. And I ended up in hospital. They told me like my bowel was going to rupture any minute.
Did you have to get flown off the rig?
No, I flew off the rig. Flew off the rig, but
I know you do. You know you generally get flown off the rig anyway, but did you have to?
Yeah, I didn't get an emergency evac, but I got on the next chopper in the morning because it happened on the Saturday, and I went off I think on the Monday morning. My medic had prednisolone in his medication cabinet. So I got prednisolone, it kind of tied me over, and then I went home and I was like weeks lying in my bed, like really unwell and bleeding heavily, like extreme fatigue, and I end up in the hospital, and it just says, oh, like your bowel's going to rupture like any minute kind of thing. There's loads of other stuff like that. I got into the hospital, and they actually forgot, they said you need an emergency scope and MRI, and they went away and came back 2 days later and did, oh, you're still here, we forgot about you kind of thing. Like
how to feel loved.
Oh, I know. He stuck a finger up my bum and then he left me for 2 days. So that's
it's
great.
not the first time that's happened to him.
So basically I ended up in this crazy, like, horrible flare up, and loads of stuff happened because I hadn't slept for like over 2 weeks pretty much. I've just been constantly back and forth the toilet. I think most of the sleep was for 15 minutes at a time, and then it was like almost reminding me of the earlier days a bit.
Yeah.
So by the time I got into hospital, I was completely like no sleep, almost hallucinogenic type feeling, you know, of like spaced out, nothing's real. They basically got me into the ward and then started a scope like a couple of days after I'd been there, and then this is all the we can't go in, like your bowels will rupture any minute. It's like you need to mentally prepare for this, and then at the same time I'd got a virus in the hospital. My whole room was taped up. They weren't allowed to come in unless they had all the full suits on and that, and for some reason my observations, my oxygen, my blood kept dropping really low, like, and they were saying you're not breathing enough, and I was like, I didn't know, how do you breathe more, you know what I mean? I don't know. And
Can you breathe more?
Well, what they tell you to do is take deeper breaths, but then that's not real. That's not a genuine observation. That's not normal breathing oxygen. That's deep breath oxygen, you know. So I was really extremely unwell, and the doctor was even saying to me, like, you need to be realistic about your chances if this happens, because I couldn't even, like, to make you understand, I'm lying on this bed, like, eyes all over, not knowing where I am. Can't even, my speech is slurred. I can't get my words out because I'm so delirious. And like, I remember the surgeon guy walked in and he says, oh, we're going to have to do surgery. And I looked at him and I remembered, and this guy I had this like fallout with a few years ago when I was walking my dog, and he looked like the guy. And I said to my girlfriend at the time, I was like, he's going to kill me. He's trying to kill me. Like, I genuinely believed that, because I was just like, and this like kind of steroid induced psychosis of like thinking that there was some sort of conspiracy going on against me. I even, like, when my nurses gave my meds, I noticed she gave me it was a different colour tablet, the mesalazine, and I thought they were doing something, and I was flushing the meds because I believed they were trying to kill me. That's how bad I was. Like, wow. Which obviously wasn't helping my condition either, because I'd flush mesalazine, that's meant to help, and I'm getting rid of it.
Because you were so paranoid.
Like, I looked at the prednisolone, or no, I was getting the prednisolone IV at the time, but I remember looking at the other tablets, and one of them I recognised, like, oh, that's the right one. And I was like, the mesalazine's not normally that colour or that shape, there's something right here. And I was like, no, just get rid of it. And that's, I know it's obviously in hindsight now with like a straight logic thinking brain, that sounds silly, but when you're in the moment, it's very real. It almost feels like you're in a movie and like your life's way to end, and it's like, I genuinely believed it. Wow. It's scary. It's really scary.
So how long did it take to come out of that feeling? Because, I mean, I suppose the feeling of paranoia is absolutely horrendous.
It was after my first proper sleep, so I think it was day 16 or something. With that virus, it got so bad I fell asleep, like it knocked me out a bit, and I woke up like 4 hours later feeling like, whoa, like what's just happened? Like it was almost like my whole mindset had changed because I'd been to sleep. And,
like sleep deprivation's horrendous, you know.
Totally.
You know, and it's common to hallucinate. And that, and you know, well, clearly that was happening to you, and altering your train of thought. Yeah, totally. To say the least.
Your whole reality just changes. You know what I mean? Everything you look around just looks different and weird, and you feel like detached from your own body. It's a horrible feeling. But yeah, I went to sleep, and then basically they were waiting to give me an infliximab infusion, like to as a rescue, but they couldn't give me because I got this virus. They said it would have been fatal if I took it at the same time as having the virus. It was just a flu virus in the end. They tested for, but when you've got the flu, when you've also not slept for 2 weeks and you're bleeding and you're that flu's serious, you know. Like,
yeah, totally.
So I think we kind of went back and forth with like, I can't get the infliximab because of the flu, but my bowel's going to rupture any minute. So I was sitting there waiting, and this is like, it's probably going to rupture like anytime soon. So like if you feel a sharp pain, press the buzzer. So I was like waiting for it to rupture for a period of like a couple of days. And then after a couple of days, my virus started going away, and I was like, oh, I've not ruptured yet. I was like, please give me the infliximab. And they're like, oh, we need to wait another week to make sure the flu. And I was like, please. I basically begged every day. And then one day I was in like tears, and I was like, please just give me it. And then they agreed, and I took this infliximab infusion, and I fell asleep during the infusion, and I woke up maybe 20 minutes later, and I was back to normal. My bleeding stopped completely. I went from 30 odd times a day down to like 10, but with no blood or mucus or anything.
Wow.
It was literally like a miracle drug. I was breathing normal again. I could speak normal. I was able to sleep. It was like life-changing within half an hour. From that to that. It was like literally, I know why they call it a rescue drug now, because it genuinely can rescue you in the last moments before your bowel's going to rupture. And it did that for me, thankfully. So I feel so grateful.
You've got a bit of a story in you, Liam. Oh, God.
You know what? I think I've since me being speaking to so many people in the IBD community, I've realised like there's such a variation in people's experiences. Like I've met people who go, they've got Pentasa or something, and they go, "Oh, I don't really take it. I don't like taking it." I'm like, "You've never really got Crohn's or colitis. You know, you've got like the most extremely mild form of it ever." When you compare to someone, I know there's some people I spoke to have had 20 odd surgeries, removing parts of their bowel and the small intestine, and
I know. I always remember a friend, good friend of mine. And nobody, he's got Crohn's, but nobody, they didn't tell anybody. And it was like after, I think he was diagnosed when he was about 16 or 17. He was destined for great things, and it kind of changed his direction in life. But he's still been really successful, but just in a different way. And he had all these different kind of we used to say it was these protocols where it's stuff that worked for him, basically. And that's important, that self-management, getting something that works for you, because as you quite rightly say, everybody's road's different, and you know what works for one person is not going to work for another. And he was really, really pretty strict on it, because and it was quite scientific how he'd done it, and because it worked for it. And one day he phoned me in a panic. You need to help me, you need to help me, you need to help me, because he got a flare absolutely out of nowhere. And I think he's about 20 years he was fine.
Wow.
Out of nowhere. Boom.
That's a long time to go.
And he was in that flare for maybe the best part of a year. And he couldn't believe it. He didn't understand. He didn't understand how having, you know, he was bad when he was a kid. Then he had then he kind of got his self-management was just phenomenal. But his discipline to that was pretty phenomenal as well. And then just out of nowhere, and it really changed his outlook, because he thought it. He'll not mind me saying this. Well, nobody knows who it is anyway. But he said he cured it. And I said, yeah, I would never push it, and I just used to say, you haven't.
No, you haven't.
You haven't. Yeah, it's impossible. I've not got it, and I need to think that. And I mean, if you need to think that, and that's what making you better, then that works for you. And if the procedures and the protocols that you've got are working for you, then that's fantastic. But what a wake up when he got it! I really, really, I feel for anybody, obviously, but I just seen it, how it hit him, and it just burst his reality. But you know, it was reality, and it was a shame. It was a shame, but he's back on track. Back on track for a number of years now. But it doesn't go, and it can rear its ugly head at any point. And I think sometimes for some people the kind of anticipation or the anxiety that brings is pretty bad as well.
It does. I agree. It's one of the biggest things I've had with social media is battling some of these kind of med-free type people who are constantly trying to like push this narrative to people that meds are bad and drugs are bad. And you know, I had one guy saying, threatening me that he's going to tell my followers the truth that I work for Big Pharma, and it's just crazy stuff, you know what I mean? And he was trying to sell workout plans that would allow people to come off their meds. And
a workout plan?
Apparently. That's what he says.
Sorry.
There's quite a few of them actually that do the diet workout plan, help you get med free, and I found it so frustrating, because first things first, it might work for you, but it doesn't work for other people. Like your friends managed to self-manage through his diet and lifestyle stuff, and that's great. But the problem you've got is it can blip at any time. And I think what I like is the fact that if I eat something I shouldn't have, or I get ill or an infection, or I have to take antibiotics, the good thing I know is that I'm also taking the meds, which kind of helps you and protects you a bit. But if I wasn't on meds and I had something I shouldn't have, or got an infection, or got ill, or had to take antibiotics, I'd be in a really bad place, like extremely bad place.
Yeah.
And just it's a real problem, I think, with current, because people are desperate and they're looking for answers and they don't want to be on meds, like none of us do. But it's also what's keeping us alive.
You hit the nail on the head. People are desperate.
Mm-hmm.
They're desperate. You know, they feel a certain way. Their life's changed. They can't do life. They can't be there for their loved ones, their friends, their family, their kids, whatever that is. And somebody's going out there and saying to them, you know, giving them that false hope.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and you know what? That thing might have worked for that individual. Might have.
Mm-hmm.
I say that cautiously. But I mean, it's snake oil. You know,
it is.
And you know, and it's some people, they'll try this med, they'll try that, they'll do this, they'll do that. They'll try. What was one I seen the other day? A mattress.
Oh, the grounding sheets. That's the one. I'm on top of all these. Like, I keep an eye out for them. I make a list of them.
Are you behind them? You and Big Pharma.
Me and Big Pharma.
You and Big Pharma are making them. But I think it's dangerous. But I think it's desperate, and it's not only just inflammatory bowel disease. I mean, I've spoke about this. I don't know how many times on Gutsy, and I speak about it in just general day-to-day work life as well, and. It's so dangerous, man. It's so dangerous, and there's people that just they're preying on people's desperation, and it's very, very sad. And obviously, anybody who's got a camera and a wee bit of editing software can turn something into an ad that looks pretty decent.
No, they can. No, totally. And
you know, you think it's got a credibility then,
yep.
And then with AI, they can have some celebrity on telling you how it is, and you're like, oh well, man.
And the problem with these people is they're making money off you and making money off of people, and then when the people they're selling it to suddenly get ill again or it doesn't work, they're like Homer Simpson blending into the edge. They just disappear. Do you know what I mean? They just like, it's like, well, am I getting my money back? Or am I getting an apology? Like, are they going to pay your bills when you come off your meds and you've flared up? You know, they're nay. You're going to want us to deal with all your life problems, you know, when you get ill again, and or if you get ill at all from following whatever they've told you to follow. And yeah, I feel it's so harmful, and it's one of the biggest battles I've had since starting my page, is like these people just, because people come to me and say, oh, I've seen these grounding sheets, or you know, and it's not, it's people who are nice and they're desperate and they're trying to look for help, and seeing these ground sheets, or seeing this guy on Instagram, or seeing this person saying if I eat this or do that or take this, and I'm like, that's not true. And they're like, but I just want to try anyway. I goes, well, you can if you want. Like, you've probably got nothing to lose by trying a grounding sheet. Like, put a new sheet on your mattress if you want, but that's $59.95 or whatever that you're sending some guy somewhere in the US or something that doesn't care about you and isn't going to work. You're not going to get a refund if your colitis doesn't go into remission. Do you know what I mean?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. But you're right. It's so dangerous. Now, at what point did you start? So how long ago did you start the page, and then when did you? And did that coincide with your book? Yeah,
so what had happened was I took in like little notes over a small period of time, like maybe over 6 months, of like things that had happened during my diagnosis and being ill with colitis, almost like a journal a little bit, and then but a retrospective one.
Yeah.
And then after a while I was like, oh, this could be a book, you know. This is back in 2019, and this could be a book. And then I'd actually wrote the book, and then I got too scared to publish it. And you know, at this point as well, it was also, I didn't really spoke to people about my UC. Like, my family knew I'd been unwell, but never really the extent of what I'd been through. And the same with my friends. Like, most of my friends had no clue, you know. No colleagues, no nothing. It was kind of my little secret I was keeping, because to be honest, I think when I was diagnosed, or when I was unwell, I think it just made me feel less manly and weak and embarrassed. And I know that's not right, but that's just how I felt. Like, it just, I think I used to be.
I don't necessarily agree with it not being right. It's how you felt. It's your reality. It's your emotion. It's how, you know. So if that's how you felt, that is reality. And you can totally understand why that is. You know, you've come from being a certain demeanour, being certain active in a certain way, and then just destroyed and shit and blood and everything that comes along with it. And, you know, the story, kind of an absolute roller coaster story that you've got. So nobody can blame anybody for feeling like that. But it's, I think one of the things is that we hear as well is a real challenge, and it's like there's a real mix of the community that are quite open. There's some that have got that kind of closed circle, and some who just shut off, and that shut off is not healthy.
No,
not at all. We always speak at every episode. I bang the drum to find your tribe, find the people. I mean, the tribe, it doesn't need to be 50 people. It's like the people that you can trust. They might be within IBD. They might be it might be your parents. It might be your best pal. It might be your auntie, your sister, your uncle, whatever. But find them that you can talk to, because that will help you.
Yeah, totally.
But I mean, anybody who's bottling something up, and I suppose within your world, you're going in the rigs, pretty male-dominated environment. You're shitting blood. You know, you're sleeping with the towels, so you'll be up and down all the time, and da, da, da. I mean, that's a pretty macho environment.
Totally.
A lot of testosterone floating about there.
Of course, there is.
So I can understand how you would maybe feel like that, and that you turn into there. Nobody. Tell me this, just kind of on that, I digress for a wee second. Since you've been so incredibly open about your journey, and you know you've obviously got a hugely successful. Are you an IBD influencer, Liam? Is that what you are? You're an influencer.
Apparently, I am now. A little bit at work I'd done with Health Central before. They call me Influencer Liam. And,
did it? One episode I got to say, well, you bomb, mate. You bomb. Oh, sorry. What was kind of running about way trying to get to? Since you've done that, have people opened up to you within your workplace? Yeah,
it's really weird. Like, because I've noticed now, because people know it. There's like two guys I work with, both at UC, and I'm like I'd worked with both of them for years, and they never told me, and I never told them. Right. And one of them was on at the time. Like the first time I was told about this was like he told me that he was on azathioprine, and then we shared all this similar experiences and our thoughts on the drug and our symptoms and the lead up to it had all been very similar. And I'd worked with this guy for years, and we just didn't tell each other we were going through this. And it's mad to think that I was struggling on a toilet and so was he, and would maybe even be at the toilet at the same time, all right, and just pass each other and never have the conversation. You know, it's crazy. So So did he see your page or something like that? Or? I think somebody had told him about like my book or something. Then he's like straight away like, oh, that's what I've got. And then and then same like I just that trip there, a guy who I've known now for years from the rig says, oh, I read your book. And I was like, oh, did you? Nice. He goes, I've got UC, and I'm like, how? Like how is this possible after us knowing each other so long and I didn't have a clue? You know. No. But it's surely a good thing. It's amazing, you know? And another thing, just on that, you're there. Does your workplace? I don't understand. I don't fully understand the mechanic of it. Is that owned by an oil company? Yes, Right, so is it anyone we can name? It's like a Chinese company owns it. Yeah. Okay. Now, did they support you in any way? Yeah. So. It's funny because I've told people this before. See, my old company, I worked for an oil service company before as opposed to an oil and gas producer. And when I was in hospital with gastroenteritis back at the original days, my supervisor, I was meant to go ashore, and I emailed him saying like, I'm really unwell, I'm in hospital, and he phoned me and said I was lying. Oh. And I was like, well, I'm not lying. I'm like laid in a hospital bed. And he goes, well, can you get somebody to take a photo of you and send me, and also a copy of your medical records? And I was like, I'm really struggling unwell right now. You want me to ask somebody to take a photo of me to prove that I'm in hospital? He was like, yes. And basically made an insinuation that my job would be at risk if I didn't. And I just thought, what kind of treatment is this? And then then when I was with the oil and gas operator, the actual operator company that produced oil and gas, the one who I work for now, they couldn't have been more helpful. You know, they better sick pay benefits, never questioned me once. The only time they've ever asked me to go to the company doctors to offer more support. You know, like they never say you're lying. They would never do that. They've done everything they can to try and make it easy for me. You know, like there were times before when I was, like for example, when I was shielding in 2020 because of the azathioprine, during COVID, they allowed me to modify my work and work from Monday to Friday from home instead of going on sick pay and not getting paid. They allowed me to work on a project from my house Monday to Friday so I could get my normal wages and stuff. Like, really, really adaptable, to be honest. But I know that's not the case for everybody in the community from what I've heard.
No, and it's something that's so important. You know, you really need I think employability's a challenge. You know, getting employed for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. I think their workplace or school or university or whatever it is, understanding what they're going through is a real challenge as well. Your colleagues understanding, you know, is a big thing as well. You know, because if you're in your workplace and you're supposed to do a certain task and that's maybe delayed or whatever because of, you know, you've maybe had to go to the toilet or whatever the case is, then do you become unreliable in people's eyes? And it's trying to educate people to understand that. So I think it's multifaceted, but it's great to hear. Well, it's not great to hear what the guy asking you to take a picture in the hospital. That's bad crack. But it's good to know that your workplace now supports and can understands, and but also good that there's a little bit of community there as well for shared experience and to support each other, I suppose. Yeah,
definitely, I agree. It definitely makes it a lot easier because it's kept a secret for so long, and now everybody knows. Like, if I need to go to the toilet, people don't go, where are you going or what you doing? Like, just there, where we're just going into a meeting, like a morning meeting kind of thing. And I said to the supervisor, I says, look, I need to go to the toilet. He goes, okay, do you want me to pause the meeting and wait until you're back? And I went, oh no, just crack on without me. But it was just nice to be offered because he knows I've got this issue. Whereas I think if he didn't know, he'd probably go, hurry up, because the meeting's starting. But because he knows, he was more like compassionate about it. You know,
I mean that's absolutely fantastic to hear.
It is, yeah.
And what we would definitely ask anybody who's watching this episode or any episode, you know, let us know how your workplace is. Tell us about it. Tell us the good stuff. Tell us the bad stuff. You know, we really want to be advocates for workplaces and the education system really supporting our community and others like it as well. It's difficult to know every condition at the end of the day as well, but I think it's really, really important. The more people understand it, and that's brilliant that you get that offer. I think that brings a wee bit of joy to me.
Yeah, I agree. It's really good because I hear horror stories from people in the community where they're in a flare-up and they're phoning sick, and then they're told they have to go and see their HR department and discuss their time off and why they've had so much time. I just think, what a nightmare.
Getting the heavy interrogation.
It's a real shame.
But you understand it from the work's point of view, but I think they need to educate themselves most definitely, and that should definitely be a thing within the workplace, to, you know, a level of education so that we can understand each other. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digressed. We were talking about setting up the old social media channel.
Oh, yeah. So what happened was I'd wrote this book and I had a cover done and all this stuff, and then I was like, oh, I'm not going to publish it, I'll just leave it. And that was the end of 2019, and then we went into lockdown. I was a little bit bored. I thought, So I went back to it, made some edits, and there was a lot of it unfinished, and I deleted a lot of it because I couldn't be bothered editing it and tried to decide I wanted, and I just left this like 10 chapters or whatever it was that I really liked. It's quite a short book, 25,000 words or something. I thought, this will do. I got someone online to help me with uploading it to Amazon and do all the stuff, and then I just thought, I'm just going to publish this. And then I kind of just sat and I was like, well, nobody's going to buy this unless I tell people, you know. So I went onto Instagram, just my personal Instagram page, and was like, hashtag Ulcerative Colitis, hashtag Crohn's disease, trying to find people who posted about it. And I was messaging people and speaking about the book, and a lot of them was like, hey, I see you've got UC, and I've got UC, I've wrote this book, and I was like copy and pasting messages to people. And then I got this like message from Instagram saying I can't send more messages. It looked like spam. And I'm like, oh no, like, how am I going to get the book out there? I can't message random people unless I'm already friends with them, type of thing. So then I was like, I'm going to have to create a UC page to tell people about the book. And that was the initial idea of it. And then when I did that, literally, I posted like a selfie and said, my name's Liam, I've got colitis, blah, blah, blah. And I had like hundreds of people come and like it and message me. And I realised, whoa, there's actually there's a gigantic support network that I wasn't aware of before, which is hard to believe now because I'm so like heavily involved in it. But having people speak to me about their story and tell them about all the stuff they go through and was the first time I think, because when I was diagnosed, you get medical facts, you get told, go to the NHS website, go to the Crohn's Colitis UK, get information from there, go all these types of places. Here's a leaflet, here's a poster, in the waiting rooms, this is the kind of stuff you get. But nobody ever told me, by the way, you're going to shit yourself. Like nobody ever had that conversation with me that there's a high chance I'm going to shit my pants at some point throughout this disease. Never mind multiple times. That conversation was never held.
That's not in the info leaflet.
No, it was not an info leaflet, and the doctor definitely didn't tell me, or neither did GI guy. So when that first happened, I thought there was something wrong with me, like as in not everybody with Crohn's disease colitis happens to. I just thought, oh, you're disgusting and minging, like it's like my fault. And then it became apparent, no, it happens to everybody that have got this disease. That's normal. And it was like that was one of the first things I noticed from the community was like the lifestyle advice and support that you don't get from the other medical stuff was like a game changer. Yeah, definitely.
I think that's definite. I think that's where, as a charity, Catherine McEwen Foundation tries to fill that bit because get the clinical stuff at the hospital, stuff like that. But what happens in life? The tools for kind of getting on with it and try to navigate the waters of life, as effectively as possible, because it's hard enough. But if you've got IBD as well, then you're going to have that. So it's like having that community to share experience and get advice must be important.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, if you've got that page, you can punt your book, Liam.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Let's get back to the dollars here. Let's get back to the dollars.
So it's funny because when I first published the book, I was actually giving all the money to Crohn's Colitis UK for the first 2 years, which wasn't a lot, by the way, because I was an indie author with no followers, which you don't really get a lot of sales. I was getting a couple of sales every month. So the first 2 years, I was giving any royalties I got from it as a donation to Crohn's Colitis UK. I did it every few months, just sending some money. It wasn't a lot of money they got off me, but it was a bit, and I felt like it was like a good thing to do. I was like, well, it's a good deed. I spent a lot of time in the book and I'm not making anything off it. I'm meeting people in the community, I'm supporting, I'm donating. It's like, wow, this is really cool. And then, my page just continued to grow. And then I made a decision from year 3 onwards, I'll just start taking the royalties and I'll write other books and I'll do more. I thought this could be a career for me of some sort in the future,
So the IBD J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, a bit like that. Yeah, so I wrote also my colitis book, and then I noticed, so in the community, especially as my page got into the thousands and I had maybe 3, 4, 5,000 followers, I started seeing that there was a lot of, in your message requests, I was getting messages from people who I wasn't following who were like, look, my name's whatever, I live in Texas, for example, my son's 3 years old, he's just been diagnosed with Crohn's disease and all this horrible, and these are people who are panicking and upset and they don't know how to explain it to their kid, they don't know how to take it themselves, and they're not coming to me for medical advice, they're coming to me for some sort of like hope that there's light at the end of the tunnel kind of thing. And I feel like my book did that for a lot of them. However, the kids don't understand it fully, so that's kind of gave me inspiration to kind of write this series of children's books about this kid called Jack Jupiter who's got a terrible tummy illness, and it gives him never-ending farts and allows him to do good deeds. So I wrote this like series of rhyming story picture books for kids. I did a lot of it when I was in like that major flare up in hospital, to be honest, over 2022, because I think between November 2022 and April 2024, I basically didn't really leave my house much. I was either in hospital or in my bed for like 14 months. So to keep my mind active and not go crazy, this was like something to work on, and it was really fun. And that's like an addition to my colitis memoirs was about this kid's book. And same with the colitis one as well. It's kind of like, I feel like the purpose of the book was to make people feel like they're not alone, because I felt alone a lot of the time.
And for anybody watching, where can you get the books?
So the books are all on Amazon. They're all next day delivery, Prime, you know. Amazon run an amazing service where you don't have to pay for stock or anything. It's free. You upload and sell your book on Amazon for free. They don't charge you, but they take a fee off of each sale, which actually works out almost the same as traditional publishing kind of fee, to be honest, if you went through a publishing house. Amazon, my colitis book's called More Than Meets the Eye, Living with Ulcerative Colitis, and the kids' books are called Jack Jupiter, and then there's one called Catastrophe, and there's a few different names. You know, there's like a Christmas related one and some other stuff. And then I have a joke and fact book, a book to be read in the loo called Full of Shit. It's a book of random jokes and facts and stuff. And my idea was, I noticed like we're trying to cut down the screen time, and if you're someone who goes to the toilet a lot, you take your phone. Everybody takes their phone to their toilet nowadays. That seems to be what gets them through their toilet moments.
I'm a little bit guilty of that, but I've also got what's that? Is it the best? What's that program? Stephen Fry does? Is it Q?
Oh, what the
facts thing?
Yeah.
What's that called again?
Yeah, it's like I know what you mean. The TV show kind of thing.
QI or something like that.
No.
Oh, it's really bad. Greg, do you know what that program's called?
It's QI.
QI.
Oh, is it QI?
It's QI.
Right.
So I've got the QI books, and it's just like wee facts.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Wee facts.
I think they're great, just short reads.
Aye, I couldn't tell you what any of them are, but I've read them back to front about I don't know how many times.
Yeah, well, that for me, I was thinking, well, a lot of people just quite common. I know people keep books or stuff in their bathroom, you know what I mean? And I thought, a little joke book in the bathroom, little random facts, you know, they're pretty cool, little facts. Something to read when you go to the toilet. If you're going to the toilet multiple times a day, it's a little bit different than scrolling on your phone. I just thought it's a cool little gift for people.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's in that bunch as well on Amazon if anybody wants it.
Brilliant. So we'll link up to that. We'll link up to that.
Brilliant.
And expect 50%. So no, we'll definitely do that. I mean, you're writing from the heart and try to do something back to the community. So
of course,
I absolutely commend you for that, my friend. Absolutely brilliant. Big on fitness.
Yeah.
You know, we've spoke a little bit at the start, and you're in the martial arts. I was calling it Mai Tai, but I think that's a cocktail. How do you pronounce it? Muay Thai.
Muay Thai, is it?
Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Hey, every day's a school day. Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And that's your martial art of choice, or do you dabble in anything else?
Oh, I lived in London for a little while, and I trained at Roger Gracie Academy, do jiu-jitsu, and my gym at Amat does loads of MMA stuff. I've been to some jiu-jitsu classes and a bit of wrestling classes as well, but generally it's been mostly Muay Thai and a little bit of boxing, like hitting pads and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I've done it for quite a long time now. Like maybe.
I want to like to wrestle you. You're a big guy. You're a big guy. You might tell me.
Yeah. I've done it for quite a while now. I really enjoy it. It's good. It's more than just fitness for me. It's a hobby. You know, it's like a big part of my life, I think. It's something I try and do every day, even just hitting the bag, hitting pads. I train with my coach once a week still. I don't go to classes much often anymore, apart from when I'm in Thailand or whatever, obviously. But yeah, it's I feel like it's helped me a lot. It gives you something to focus on, and it's a part of development as well, you know.
Totally. And in martial arts, you're always learning, aren't you?
Yeah, totally. I feel like I've been training my coach pretty regularly for maybe 5 years or something now, so I think a lot of the time when we go, I'm not like learning something new, we're just trying to fine tune you know, little things with footwork and the movement, and trying to perfect it. And it's good. I love the process, you know, the process of like not knowing something or learning something new and having to feel like an amateur at it, or whether it's a little move or a step or something different, and then getting to the point where it becomes fluent and flows. And I really like it. So I try and do a little bit of weights as well. I do a little bit of like yoga and stuff. And anything really. Also, I've got a dog as well. I like taking him walks everywhere. Anything for fitness and keeping my body moving, kind of thing. It's helped me a lot. Yeah,
I think in general for anybody, you know, the kind of fitness is a great thing. Keep you moving and keep, you know, good for the body, good for the mind at the end of the day as well. But it's been proven that it's got additional benefits for those who have got IBD as well.
Yeah,
so
I find I've always had to preface this because of the amount of fitness come off your med trolls there's been. Every time I speak about anything positive about fitness on my page, I need to preface it with, but there's not exchange for medication, you know. I've kind of been backed into a corner with that so much now with these snake oil people, but yeah, it's helped me so much. It's a big part of my life, fitness.
Yeah, definitely. Good and good for you. And so one of the things I wanted to speak to you about today was this better life health.
Yeah. So something I noticed during my time of being unwell was I take multivitamins, because even when I'm in remission, I wasn't 100%. You know, like it's one of the most, in fatigue and brain fog and some other stuff for people who are still in remission, not necessarily in a flare-up, is something that's quite commonly reported. So I was taking these multivitamins that the British Dietetics Association had said were the most, there's a consensus now that this is what typically people with Crohn's or colitis are deficient in. And it's nothing crazy, it's vitamin B12 and magnesium, a couple other things. But I was taking all these things separately all the time, and then I had my Pentasa to take, and I maybe had something else, and I was like, it's like so much tablets every morning. So I just thought, why don't we just like take all the vitamins and minerals I'm taking and put them into one capsule? Because it came apparent a lot of people were like, oh yeah, it's a nightmare every morning getting up and doing all my tablets and stuff. So I've put it all in one capsule.
My wife takes loads of vitamin tablets, and she's got the wee tray.
Oh yeah.
Put them all in.
Yeah.
What are you doing up to my tablets? I don't take a multivitamin, and that would put me off, because that's just
too much. Yeah, some mornings I had actually not done it because there was so much to take and I was in a rush. I just wouldn't do it. So
I'm not good at swallowing tablets.
Oh yeah, and a lot of people have got that problem with the
bulky.
Yeah, and so what I did as well was, like, before I did everything, I went to like a dietitian who was like, you know, very well respected in the industry, IBD and stuff as well, and I gave the idea to her and she thought it was amazing, like totally good idea. And then I got another dietitian involved to help me like collate the data together of what the vitamins and minerals should be, and, you know, make sure everything's like it's right. And then we took it a step further as well. So I looked at the forms that were in, and it became apparent that a lot of these multivitamin forms, they're actually hard to absorb, especially if you've got gastrointestinal issues. So we just converted them into like their bioavailable, most absorbable kind of forms. And then
what's that? What's it?
So, for example, like if you take vitamin B12, the ingredient in it is called cobalamin. Now, some people can't absorb these things very well, and your body doesn't actually absorb cobalamin anyway. What happens is when you take a vitamin, and your body goes through a methylation process, and it converts it into a form that your body can absorb. So for B12, when you take a B12 tablet or capsule, cobalamin goes in, your body converts it to methylcobalamin, and then that's how it absorbs. So during that conversion process, it can irritate the GI system at some points along the tract.
Yeah.
But if you pre-convert it, it doesn't cause irritation, and it gets this purely absorbable without having to go through that conversion. So we just put all the things in their absorbable forms and the best ingredients, the best forms and ingredients we could, and then put them into the capsule. So yeah, it's been good. I've been taking it for a couple of months now myself as well. And I've got some other products.
Just launched?
Yeah, it's launched like 2 months ago or something. But I was testing the market. I've never done this before, so I wanted to make sure the website works. The capsules were okay, the packaging was okay, it got to the customer okay, you know.
So can I play devil's advocate?
Yeah.
What would somebody not say that you were a snake oil salesman then?
Yeah, so
have you had that pushback?
Yeah, so initially what we had was like, it was going to be a Crohn's disease product, a colitis product, all this stuff, and we're like, you know, and this was all from people who are like medical people, and you know, this was not like, it's not like someone on social media. I went to the appropriate, I got like the #1 compliance guy in the UK for supplements. I had like one of the most like highly respected dietitian people involved in IBD in the world. I had other registered dietitians, so it's not like it's something that's just like off the cuff in my living room. You know, I've had the right people involved, you know. And what we decided was, with the compliance guy, was let's not name Crohn's, colitis things on the packaging, because if you're doing it in a marketing sense, you can tell the story and make sure they know it's not, you know, it's not in exchange for medication or in exchange for a healthy diet or in exchange. It's to supplement that. You know what I mean?
Word, this is to supplement your...
Yeah. And so we decided to take all the stuff off the website, take off the packaging, not have anything there, because if someone sees a packet and it says ulcerative colitis on it and they can't get the story, they might think it's going to be some sort of fix for them, which we obviously didn't want. You know, I've been battling this stuff for a long time, so I wanted to make it clear that when I speak about the product, it's in addition to your medication, in addition to doctor's advice, in addition to, it's funny because I've had people come to me now and they've been, they get regular checkups for your doctor, a GI, and they say I'm in remission, and I've told my gastroenterologist that I'm still not well and I'm struggling with fatigue, and they all suggest, have you tried a multivitamin, have you tried this? Like, they suggest these things, it's not like it's like an out there, like crazy, like a snake oil type thing. It's like these things are like really well studied, and these 7 nutrients are a consensus with the British Dietetics Association now. So it's not like on the fringe research; it's like a consensus that this is the things that people are typically going to be deficient in. It's
good for you.
I'm quite confident in the sense that I'm getting the message across in the right way.
Yeah. No, I think you absolutely are, and you're sensible about it. Wish you luck with that, my friend.
Thank you.
Good for you. And any more books?
Yeah, I've been trying to write books constantly since the release of the joke book. I've been writing a second colitis book. It's going to be called 10 Lessons for Living with Chronic Illness, because my page is not just IBD people now. I've got people with diabetes and MS and fibromyalgia and all these other related chronic illnesses. It kind of seems like if you get one, you get another. You don't just get one. It's like a buy one, get one free kind of thing.
It's good. What a joy.
Yeah.
But sadly it's true.
It is true. It's true. But what I found was, and I've spoke to thousands of people now. I mean, I think I spoke to almost every single person that followed me at one point up until a few thousand followers. So my guess is it's at least 3,000 or 4,000 people I've probably spoke to one-to-one through direct message. And so many of us share the same story. Like someone with MS and someone with fibromyalgia and someone with Crohn's, we've got different diseases and different symptoms, but a lot of the other symptoms are the same. It's social and financial and emotional, and we go through a lot of the same heartache and hardships. And I have been collating all this information together for the last couple of years, and it's going to be in this book about the things I've learned, like lessons about chronic illness, from anything from having the right knowledge and asking the right questions from your doctor, like little small things. Like something that helped me a lot was I used to go to my appointment with my GI, and I maybe get to see him once a year because he's that busy, and I get in and I'll sit down and then I'll forget about the stuff I wanted to ask, So what I started doing was researching before I went in, writing notes, working out, not just things I want to ask. I would ask, especially now, maybe ask AI or ask Google, and I'll get the information, and then I'll write it all down, and then I approach him with this. And then I said, this is what I'm thinking, this is my thoughts, can I do this, can I do that, what do you think about this? And it's all there for you, and this is like a small tip, but it makes such a big difference to your appointment, because you come away from your appointments feeling like you got the answers you wanted, as opposed to being frustrated thinking you forgot to ask stuff.
And the thing I like about that as well is it's a two-way street, because a lot of people go in and think their consultant or their IBD nurse got a magic wand. Right? Come on, fix me now. Fix me. I need fixed. And you'll do it just now. And it's not right. It has to be a two-way street. You have to. It's teamwork, isn't it?
Totally.
Very much so. But being prepared for these appointments, because that 15-20 minutes are, if you're lucky, if you get.
If you're lucky,
if you're lucky. It's gold dust.
It is gold dust.
It's gold dust, and use it well. So prepare, write the stuff down, and have a plan for you getting in, because it's important that you're heard as well. Because if you don't go in with a plan and you don't have information, it's a waste.
No, I think the best information you get is the information you've almost already aware of. You kind of like self-taught yourself stuff, like people that get the best out of their appointments are people who are quite educated on Crohn's and colitis and inflammatory bowel disease from a medical point of view. They do the research, they read their websites, they're into all this stuff, and then when they have a conversation with their doctor, it's more in depth and detail, and it sticks, whereas you go in and he says some flashy words that mean nothing to you or confuse you, you might come away feeling like you knew less than what you went in with.
Totally. So the lesson there is go prepared for your appointments. Most definitely. And when we were talking before we started filming, you were talking about a bit about nutrition and sleep?
Yeah, loads. Well, something that I struggled with for years was like, when I was in remission, a lot of time I'd feel like lacking energy and nothing, like fatigue, and I've always had problems with sleep as well. I think sleep, especially from when I've been in flares, because I would be up every 15 minutes, and I think my body got used to not sleeping deeply, and that's one of the things, that one of the drivers for a better life was nutrition, sleep, and maybe hydration. I've got some other ideas of stuff. There's a product, there's a type of magnesium that's proven to cross the blood-brain barrier. It's one of the only magnesiums to do it. And so it's actually absorbed in the brain and has been proven to help with clearing your mind. And it can actually be used as a stimulant to help focus on work stuff when stacked with other things, or it can be used as a kind of sleep supplement with stacked with other type of supplements. So, and it's all natural as well, these things. So I've had the approval from the patent holder to use this in another product. So the next product for better life might be this sleep supplement we're working on just now. But I've been spending time, because I want the right people involved, because I wanted not just like a dietitian or nutritionist. I want someone who's like a somnologist or someone who's like a sleep expert to say, if you are going to use a supplement, these things are proven to work, and have the data to back it up. So it's legitimate. That
sounds quite, that on the face of it, that sounds quite challenging to me.
Oh, it is, yeah. A lot of sleep experts are anti-medication, and they're anti-technology. They don't like the apps. They don't like the taking stuff. They're all about raw, dark, for working on things as opposed to anything else. But it doesn't mean they can't work. And there's a lot of people out here who are, I think they call them alternative therapy people for sleep or whatever. And so, a lot of people rely on these apps now. I don't know if you've seen the Whoop bands, and they're really popular. People track their, we've got one over here.
You got a Whoop band? What's a Whoop band?
So basically,
tell us. It's not like that. Do you remember, I see it on the side before you explain the Whoop band. Do you remember years ago that these bands that David Beckham actually promoted them? It was effectively this rubber band and it had a hologram thing on it, and it was supposed to improve your body balance.
Oh, right.
All that. Right. Fuck. So we were in New York. It was me and my mate John. We were going to run the New York Marathon. So it was our first marathon. You go to the expo before it, and you get your number, and you get hyped. You get
I bet you.
Yeah, and because you don't, basically you know less than nothing about this stuff. This is a long time ago. It's maybe 14, 15 years ago or something like that. So you go to the expo. And you buy everything. You buy the biggest lot of shit.
Oh, I can imagine.
Oh, that's brilliant. That wee gadget, this wee gadget. Oh, this supplement, that supplement. And at the time, these bands were at... it's just so bad. And you're looking at it, and your mind, your logical... Well, certainly my logical mind was telling me, that's a rubber band with a sticker on it that's a hologram. There is no way in the world that actually can do anything for me, because it's a rubber band with a hologram on it. Now these things, people are buying them for like $20 or $30 around the world. It's a multi-million-dollar business, and David Beckham says they're good. Yeah. All right, okay. Or it affects your balance and all that. So they do. And I'm like, I'm fucking no way, man, sceptical. My mind's telling me it's impossible. Right? My mind's telling me it's impossible. It's the most ridiculous trick in the world. It's like a fairground trick. So they get you in, and we all did the same thing. The guy goes, right, okay, right, shut your eyes, put the band, put your hands up, right, and go on one leg. This is true.
Sounds like a sobriety test.
I can't believe I'm telling this. Makes me look like an even bigger dick. Right, so you put your hands out, and the guy goes, boom, and you shut your eyes, and you fall balanced. Right, you fall, and then he puts the band on. Right, do the same again, and you don't fall. See the bar.
I got you.
Well, obviously, when you think about it later, obviously, because you're expecting it this time. Needless to say, they parted with dollars for each band. There's like 4 or 5 or whatever, and that bought them. you've got the band and you're going in the thing and all that, and that's that band and you're wearing it. People going, what's your band? And you're going, oh, this is the thing, and it's David Beckham and da. And then there's a big thing comes out. They're just rubber band stickers on them, and it was like a big, some sort of big scandal. The embarrassed Beckham and all this kind of thing. And you look back and go, fuck, just imagine getting sucked in.
I know.
Absolute nonsense. You know, in your mind you're going, it's a rubber band with a sticker on it, there's no way.
Yeah.
But see, because there's hype behind it.
Put a big name on it as well.
Definitely. And that's why in the modern age, when you see these AI things selling you stuff, you're going, oh, such and such must be. But the prime example, the money supermarket guy, he was one of the first guys I ever seen get kind of AI selling something financial, maybe cryptocurrency.
Oh, Martin Lewis,
Martin Lewis. Get sold. There was, kind of AI version of him. You couldn't tell the difference.
It's scary.
Because I watched him on the TV, and he's going, and he compared them, and it was these guys that you're wanting to buy cryptocurrency or something like that. I mean, that's not me. It was incredible.
And this is just the infant stage of AI as well. Like, that's imagine when it matures in 10, 20 years, I don't know what's going to happen.
Frightening.
Yeah. Well, these Whoop bands are definitely not making any fake claims. All they do is monitor your blood pressure and bits and bobs on you through wearing this band, and it also does your sleep as well. So if you move about in your sleep and stuff, it records it. Right. And so it gives you a basis to work off of. Like, if you think, I didn't feel good today, but I was in my bed for 8 hours, and you go in your Whoop and you go, oh, I actually only got 3 hours of proper sleep. Aye,
because my watch does that, and it tells you.
Yeah, it tells you
what zones of sleep that you're in.
I think the thing with Whoop is it does so many different things all together, and it gives you like a general score of your health and different metrics. Right. I've not actually got one myself, but it's one of these things I'm planning. I've just been looking at recently, reading into. I like to research everything a million times before I buy it or use it. You know, like it's like one of these people.
A bit of me with that other band. I researched that well.
The balance test.
The balance test. Honestly, it's like one of these tricks at a fairground in the 1800s.
I'll endorse that. I'm no Beckham, but I'll endorse the Whoop.
Aye.
Are you
they're really popular.
Greg's endorsing it.
Yeah, a lot of guys I know who are no nonsense salespeople are into them. They're not trying to sell you because it's a fake. I think they genuinely believe in them. So I think being able to monitor your sleep can only be good, and monitor your heart rate and health, any health metric tracking has to be good for you.
I think sleep is massively undervalued.
No, I speak about this all the time. Honestly, I think you know the guy Brian Johnson is. You know him. He's like the health hacker guy.
Oh, Brian Johnson knows AC/DC. He's my guy.
It's definitely not him. I don't think his health will be great. No, it's this guy who basically works on. He's been studying. I think he's a billionaire, but he's been doing all these blood tests and stuff on himself, and working out his markers and what supplements to take and what food to eat. And one of his things he always speaks about all the time. I think he's spent the most amount of money on personal health than anybody else in the world. And he says that sleep, nothing else you do is going to matter as much as a proper sleep is, I agree. It's just
free.
And it's free. It's funny though, it's a real problem because a lot of people I speak with nowadays, they don't sleep well. And I think it's to do with the smartphone usage and the blue light thing, you know.
Think how much. I mean, please, this is only a personal opinion. It's not medical. It might be, I don't know. It's not certainly. I wouldn't trust it, and I would endorse after that band story. Yeah. Think how much how much stimulus you get, how much you're stimulated as a human being, of course, ongoing. It's nuts. How many different things that your mind has to think about, and most people, including myself, and I keep saying that, and me and Jules are always, let's not take the phones to bed, and but then you're going, oh right, I'm just looking, and you end up scrolling through bullshit. And it's so you've got that, you're stimulated so much what proper advice and proper research can do. Don't take it. So it's no surprise that people can't sleep.
No, totally. I've got guys offshore who literally just do not sleep at all. They need to take herbal supplements and Nitols, and then they've got earplugs and I
think the Nitols make you feel really groggy.
Yeah, I don't like that those specific things that like, especially the medical kind of nitol, because I think there's like a herbal one. There's more like one that's, I don't know, is it prescribed or I don't know, but
well, we can buy them off the shelf.
Yeah. I think I think some of them definitely do not make you feel good at all. Like anything that makes you feel drowsy is not good for the next day, because part of sleep is you feel good the next day. If you're not feeling good the next day, it's kind of pointless taking it.
Sometimes I'll take melatonin.
Oh, melatonin! I took it for a long time as well. The problem we've got with melatonin is you can't buy it legally in the UK.
Sorry, did I say that? Did I say that?
No, but I think no, but I mean, you can. It's legal to have. It's not an illegal supplement, but they stopped selling it in the UK. They stopped prescribing it on a lot of occasions for some reason. But it's everywhere else in Europe. You can just walk into shops and buy it in supermarkets and that. I took melatonin for a long time as well. It worked really well. But I also thought there was a psychological aspect with it, where if I didn't take it one night, I'd be lying there going, "Oh, I took the melatonin." And
that's anything.
It is. Yeah, it is.
You know, if you're, that's just a habit.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I'm not saying not a bad one. It's just it's routine. Oh, I broke the routine.
Yeah,
that's not my work. That's just that. No, I would take that, and there's no problems whatsoever. And I sleep pretty well. As age comes, I have to go to the toilet more. If I go through a night that I don't need to go to the toilet, I mean, I wake up and I think I've won. I'm delighted. Once that I'm cool with that. Sometimes a couple.
Yeah. I'm once. I don't think I can't remember the last time I slept and didn't get up for a pee. I kind of like that's
I'm older than you, but
what age are you?
I'll be 50 in 2 weeks.
Oh, right. I see.
2 weeks today.
But you're fit though. You're doing marathons and doing all the bits and bobs, so you're keeping yourself youthful. I'm
trying. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. No, honestly, do you know what? Stephanie Boyle was on the podcast. I know Stephanie's one of the ambassadors at Catherine McCune Foundation. You probably know Stephanie. If you're
I know her from Instagram. I've never met her.
Yeah, she's great, and she was sharing her story, and she's into her fitness. Mm-hmm. And I said to her, but she wasn't always into fitness. In fact, she'll tell you herself, she didn't like it at all. She hated it. She was, that wasn't a thing she did until she had some real serious issues with UC, and she had stoma, and all, it's well documented, her story. Also available on the Gutsy podcast, her story.
Yes.
Of course. And she said, no, I decided that it was a privilege to move and be able to move, and I was there when I thought I wouldn't be able to get up and walk, and even just walking the dog and get up and going to the toilet because she couldn't get to the toilet at times and all that kind of stuff, and that really flipped her mindset, and it was a really powerful thing for me, because some people, I've got my pals or people that I know or whatever that will go, fucking at your age, you're getting a bit old for all that stuff. You get a bit old, and I'm like, no. My mindset's the exact opposite. As long as I'm privileged to be able to move my body, I'm going to do it.
That's good. You've got that realisation, because sometimes it takes something major happening. You're like, I really took for granted being able to go for a walk, until I was ill, and I realised I couldn't walk around the block without access to a toilet. Yeah. People say to me, just if you can't make it to the gym, just go for a walk. I was like, can I go for a walk? I would need to drive to the gym and walk on a treadmill near a toilet. You take these things for granted. So
I think in through the journey that I've been through and supporting people with inflammatory bowel disease, it gives you a real insight, and these invisible disability, but you go, do you know what? I'm lucky. I haven't, in touch with long may it continue. No health problems, and never really have had, ever. And reaching a certain vintage.
No, it's amazing.
And I'm like, even more so, it's important to look after yourself and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm absolutely no saint, far from it. But that getting out and exercising and try to eat relatively healthy and stuff like that. I'd like to think it'll maybe add a couple of years on.
Yeah, I would like to think so too.
Closer to the exit, the entry,
Yeah. I mean, I say to some of my mates as well, who are like heavy drinkers and smokers and whatever else. I say, well, I've got this chronic illness, but I didn't really drink much. I didn't smoke. You know, I'm reasonably fit. I go to the gym every day. I eat reasonably well. Like, I'm doing everything I can.
I can take a punch in the face.
I can take a punch in the face. Maybe I like it.
Can you? No, but I think as long as you've got that, and it was what Stephanie said that day was really really powerful for me, and it really hit home because she got that, because I think naturally when you don't have any problems you do take it for granted.
You do big time.
You know, and it's not till you've got a challenge, and hopefully people watching don't that you're struggling. So what are you doing with the nutrition and sleep then? Is this going to be another product, or? Well,
so obviously with the multivitamin, the Better Life bioavailable multivitamin for nutrition wise, and then the sleep product's going to be.
So basically, there's going to be a better Life health range.
Yeah, that's a long term plan to have a range of stuff that I know is all good stuff and it's the right thing. Because the thing is, social media especially when I started researching other products, all I see now on my news feed in my ad is ads for other products, and I look into them all and I try and get the best of it. But you know, these ones you buy off the shelf in Asda and stuff are not, your body's, they're not doing any good. You know? I
keep looking at them, what the certain, I don't know if they're multivitamins or what they are, and I'm just not sure what to trust, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I have the same issue as well, and that's why I started looking at ingredients, because straight away I know, like, if there's the base kind of ingredient in it, like I said with the B12, that's like not in a certain form. There's different things I know now in certain forms I look for, and I know the prices of them. Yeah. So I know, well, that one's quite cheap, that one's quite cheap, that one's quite cheap. They've put all the cheap stuff into this. There's a chance that this product wasn't made with passion, and you know, it's not being made with someone who's trying to create the best product. They're just trying to make money.
There's a guy, is he a comedian? Russell. Oh man, he's always advertising this thing. I think he's got a stake in it. Well, according to the internet, he's got a stake in it. I really don't trust the internet.
Yeah, same.
But he's always on that. What's his name? Oh, murder for that. I'm going to send you it.
Yeah, send it.
Send it. But I mean that's it. I mean, there's lots of. Hopefully this will get you off the rigs eventually.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think my rig's probably got about 10 years left, roughly, and so. It's always an idea of something I can do afterwards, maybe author, or my business takes off.
You're already something. An author.
Yeah, but maybe more books. Maybe a professional. I think my next book, the 10 Lessons one, it's really turning into like a real book that could make mainstream readers want to read it, as opposed to just the chronic illness community. And I think I really want to try and get into a traditional publishing house with a big publisher.
Brilliant.
I met a girl who's got books published, and she said she tried to get in with a big publishing house, but she couldn't because her previous book had only had less than 250 sales. They want you to have a lot more than that. She says you need at least 1,000 sales, and by this point I'd already had sold a few thousand books, and I thought, well, I've got the ammunition to go forward with it. So
swagger.
It's easy, too easy.
Poxy 250 books, love.
So I mean, I've had a couple of good months, and it's all thankful to social media. And when I first the books were selling, I was selling a handful of them a month. You know, with people I'd contacted, and then now it just was more word. I mean, I think my sell rate's somewhere between 1 and 5 books a day or something. You know,
brilliant.
Like all over the world as well. It's like, it's not just UK. I think it's like 65% or something UK. Then it's America, Canada, Australia, and then some other place around Europe. There's quite a few people in places that have asked for a book that I can't get delivered as well, because Amazon doesn't serve them or whatever. So I did think about as well getting it translated into Chinese, because there's a big IBD prevalence in China, just purely with the volume of people. I would love to get it. There's a big book company similar to Amazon in China, because you can't get Amazon in China, but you get this, I forget the name of it, but a gigantic online retailer that's really popular. Not Alibaba, it's like an actual Chinese one. It's all in Chinese. It's really popular for the local people in China. It was a Chinese person that told me about it, and so I may be thinking about getting my colitis book translated and trying to get into this online store, because there's tens of millions of people there with IBD that
good for you,
maybe a bit untouched. So I don't know, wait and see.
Good for you. Fascinating, Liam. Absolutely brilliant. We're going to go to the quick fire.
Oh, let's do it.
We're going to go to the quick fire. I don't know if we've got a quick fire between us, to be honest with you. Once one can talk more than the other. I thought I could talk. You can talk, eh?
I could talk all day. Like I think people will get bored of me.
Oh, well, you've got a new audience, so, do you know what I mean? That's why I like doing this. My bad partner's got somebody new that might think it's actually better than average. 3 top tips for living with IBD.
Yeah, I actually just done a story on this recently with Health Central. So I would say prioritising yourself. So it's learning to say no to things. This isn't a very quick fire, is it?
Keep going. No.
So for me, it was learning.
No, that's enough.
Learning to prioritise yourself. So that was, for me, that was saying, I used to say, oh yeah, I'll come to your wedding or I'll come to your birthday party when I was actually dying and going and struggling and making myself. Learning to say no to things and looking after yourself is one of the biggest ones for me.
Saying no to things is a skill.
It's an acquired skill, and you need to get really good at it because it comes with frustration, embarrassment, maybe some debate, arguments, and heated issues. But you look after yourself.
A bit of guilt.
Yeah, a bit of guilt as well, definitely.
See, the thing is, if the person or the people that you're not going to whatever the event is can't respect that, and maybe they know a bit about your story, then that says more about them. They're fannies then.
Yeah, and the thing I think they say is the people who mind don't matter, and the people who matter don't mind. You know what I mean? It's so true. So learning to say no to things like prioritising yourself, prioritising rest, and that's not just sleep. That's like allowing yourself a day where you're not doing something productive, or you've not been to the gym, or you've not done the things that you and yourself think are the most important things to do. Yeah. You just take a day where you allow your body to recover and rest and not feel guilty about it. Yeah. I'm not very good at that one. That's one of my weakest ones. And then the last bit of tip is about. And I feel like knowledge is power, and I feel like having good gastroenterologists, good GPs, a good IBD team, the good support network, we're giving you all the information you need to look after your condition, take time to research it, do everything you need to do, read books, And
do you know any of it? Do you know any good ones?
Might be some good ones on Amazon. I'm not sure.
Yeah, all right, we'll have a go.
But yeah, so it's prioritise your self care, prioritise rest, and prioritise your knowledge on your given C's.
3 things that piss you off.
The people who try to convince others to come off their meds when they've got no medical qualifications at all. That's one thing that pisses me off in IBD related, I'm assuming. Yeah, I think.
We can talk about why it pisses you off in general as well.
The med-free trolls piss me off. The second ones are probably the state the NHS is in. It's really, really a sad state of affairs. I developed a couple of fistulas during the last flare, and I got recommended for surgery for one of them, and it was 3+ years waiting list for the surgery. Now, my condition could so dramatically change, and the fistula could come infected and burst and whatever multiple times during that period. And it was like, you could get to the end, and the surgery you needed end up not being the surgery you need, and you go back on another waiting list. It's like, so med-free, NHS waiting times. I think maybe just a general lack of understanding from most people, because I think there's still a lot of people out there who don't have the disease but still think it's the same as IBS, or their ignorance around, which is it's not their fault, but I know a lot of people who go, I get quite bad stomachs, I've probably got what you've got, and I just think, it's like,
how often have you heard that? It's just
regularly, still now, all the time. Yeah, and I've got a lot of friends who are working out as well, and they're honestly, they don't mean bad. No, I know. And they'll say something along the lines of, I'm not as bad as you, but I've been getting this thing, and I'm like, at least they acknowledge the difference in condition.
If only you knew, mate. If only you knew. Yeah. 3 things you would hope for the future in IBD.
Well, I would.
Well, apart from the obvious.
Yeah, I mean, there was a news thing on BBC about a year ago with this guy. They've looked at DNA stuff of the. Do you know the one?
I know the one, and we get loads of messages about it.
I bet you do.
We did at the time, and you know what? It's a great advancement, because I went to took professional advice on it, because we want to go back with the right information.
Of course you do, yeah.
We need to signpost the right information, everything that goes along with it. Always. Absolutely always. And it's great work, but it's a bundle of great work, and if that particular work got pretty much global exposure, but it just got too many people's hopes up.
It does, yeah.
You know, I mean, it is great work, and that great work's to be celebrated, and it is an advance. But sadly, that's it.
Aye.
You know, it's a tiny step and a massive staircase.
Yeah.
So it's good, but sadly, it injected so much hope into so many people, which sometimes, that's what we support, and we try to give hope, we try to give support and everything like that. But sometimes it was a bit sensationalised for me, a lot of the commentary on it, and a lot of the press, which resulted in, it got a lot more people onto our website and speaking to us, which is good, but it wasn't. I don't know.
I know what you mean. Yeah, you're right, and you need to make sure, because you're coming from an official place, people ask for advice, that you're giving them the right info.
Oh, absolutely, and it's got to be the right info, but it's got to be. You kind of need to manage people's expectations, and
you do.
People's expectations, and in that instance, speaking to some people with like, everything's got to be all right in a couple of years, and you feel like the bad guy bursting the bubble.
Yeah, I probably had 50, 60, maybe 70 people send me that around that time over the period of a couple of months and asking about it, and I'm just like, yeah, it's exciting, but it's we don't know, and it's potentially whatever advancement that is still years away, where it could be used in a clinical way, it can help you.
Absolutely.
It's why all my posts that I make, I tag official charities all the time in my post, because I want people, if I'm getting awareness on post, I want them to maybe look at the tags and see, like Catherine McEwen Foundation, see Crohn's Colitis UK, there's Guts UK as well, I don't know if you know them.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Crohn's Colitis Australia, any of these pages that are trying to, like Crohn's Colitis Foundation as well, they're really engaging with me, like my stuff and share my stuff as well. Like, I try and tag all these big charities in, because I want people to, if they see my post, they also have a chance to be able to be directed to the official places where they can get the right signposted, right information, and not necessarily somewhere else randomly on the internet.
Because there's loads of that. And what about the future for you? I think we touched on it a little bit.
I honestly don't know. I'm still working on the rigs. I like my job. I get good time off. I've done it my whole life as well. I would love to get a book deal or something for my next book, and potentially that's a thing for me. And then Better Life take off, and maybe exit the company in 5 years for millions and millions of pounds, and I'll go and.
All right, so you're not sure what you want to do?
No. Sipping margaritas in the Maldives. I don't know if that's an answer.
We've already said it doesn't agree with you, alcohol.
No. I'll get the mocktail version.
Liam, thanks for coming on. Thanks for travelling all the way from Aberdeen. It's been an absolute pleasure meeting you.
Thank you so much for having me, Derek.
And learning about your story. I've really enjoyed it. I could talk to you for hours, but Greg will kill me.
Yeah.
No, thanks a lot.
We'll get a part 2 or something further down the line.
Yeah, we will definitely get a part 2, and we'll look forward to your donations when you sell your company for millions.
Of course, you're on it. You're on it.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, Derek.